Hi, I am Gloria Rand, and welcome to Rocky Road to Success, where we give you the real scoop on business success by talking with entrepreneurs about some of the mistakes they may have made earlier on in their business when they were getting things going, and then some of the lessons they've learned as a result. And the intent is to help you shorten your learning curve. So hopefully, you're still going to make some mistakes, but if you can avoid some of them, that's my goal anyway, is to help you do that. And joining me today is SueMarie Crawford, and she is a speaker, coach, teacher in personal and professional leadership development, which is really good stuff, and a retired master professional counselor with over 2 decades of experience and practice. And she's also the co-author of The Young Female Leader, Confidence, Communication, and Charisma. Ooh, might want to talk to you a little bit about that too. That sounds cool. I've got a young female living under my roof, as a matter of fact, so she could probably use that. Anyway, she's also developed her own live event, signature life mastery programs that are launching soon in North America. So welcome, SueMarie. Glad to have you. Is it good to be able to call you SueMarie or just Sue? What's your preference?
Just don't call me late for dinner.
I knew you were going to say that.
Whatever your preference is.
Okay. Well, I tell you, usually what I do is I do like to get started in kind of talking a little bit about maybe some kind of, if there was one particular, stumbling block that you ran into when you were starting. I know you got to go back and think about that a while since you've been in business a long time, but was there one particular thing that you think, now looking back, you're like, man, if I'd only known, I wouldn't have done that, but,
there was, I think what I had was my priorities, if you will, were a little fuzzy. I don't know what other way to say it, fuzzy. And not that my heart wasn't right. But what I wanted to create in my private practice, because, that was as a counselor. And so in my private practice, where I would be having clients come, I wanted to create, an ambiance of homey, comfortable, a bit on the posh, So I went out from the get-go and I purchased spent about 30 grand setting up, in office equipment.
Yeah, yeah. Still.
But, in sectional couches and a leather recliner and pictures and a fireplace and because I wanted, like I said, my heart was in the right place. But this is what I mean about the priorities, is that I was already committed, because counseling is local. I'm not a counselor who believes you should do therapy over phones or online. Coaching, fine, but not therapy. That should be eyeball to eyeball in my own personal belief. But, I was already committed to the yellow pages, because you got to be in the book.
Right.
And so that costs to have that. And then I will occasionally, put in some paper ads in the area.
Yeah.
But I'll be darned if I'm going to pay 30 or I think it was 30 or 40 bucks a month for Psychology Day Today listing, that's every month, whether and when you're starting out, you don't just start out with a full practice, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking, I was kind of stuck. Here I'll go out and spend 30 grand, creating this ambiance and comfort and a beautiful environment.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't spend that regular monthly on actually launching the darn thing. And what's funny is it was probably a good year or so into it when I finally did put my listing in the directory. And then, of course, however that tech stuff works to get whatever. We're local people. If they were looking for anything counseling related, I would come up.
Yeah.
So it took 3 months to really get in the system. But then, boom, 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 I'm getting clients, and I'm going, burn, burn, burn. When will you learn? Like this was, it was ludicrous. Spend 30 grand on this, but I won't spend 30 bucks a month on that. And so, when I looked back, in the past year, back then when I looked back for that about year before I decided to go with Psychology Today, I went, that was about talk about, one of my mantras, one of my many mantras is sue with the Q. I would shoot myself in the foot. If I'd have done that from the get-go and maybe saved the leather recliner, then, maybe I would have had a fuller practice.
Right.
So, sometimes it is about our priorities, we're we don't kind of think or know that, like I'm very good at what I do.
Right.
But the marketing or getting butts in the seat of seminars and all that kind of stuff, I don't like that at all. At all.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my bag, the tech stuff, and all those kinds of things behind that. So that is a lesson that I learned. I should have known already, but, I'm a shit all over myself. So, I did learn that you really have to build a foundation is the moral of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Foundation.
Yeah.
You can't just jump in. Very, very rarely will that ever occur where you can just jump in full force and be boom, boom, there. So it is about, step by step, but even more importantly, is setting that foundation.
Yeah, that is so.
And that's what I'm about, is setting a rock solid, an unshakable, rock solid foundation in yourself, in the way you be and show up in the world, that you'll operate from.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it makes everything so much smoother. Mm-hmm. Imagine how much smoother it would have been if I would have swapped out Psychology Today for the leather recliner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
amazing.
It's about building that unshakable, rock solid foundation. Yeah. So that was my message, and that's probably where I got the mantra from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I said, that's foundational, SueMarie, like, kicking myself in the fanny. And so I learned that lesson, and I got a mantra out of it because I really like it, and it really speaks to what I do and help clients achieve.
That's good. Yeah, it's amazing. I worked before I got into the business I was in television. I worked for a business news program, and I took a job one time with a startup cable news organization that was launching this business news program, and they were spending money hand over fist to feed us. I mean, they were just every morning was all this wonderful, food and things, and just spending money. Same thing, I think, even on furniture and crazy things. And they wound up going out of business because they were not allocating, they didn't concentrate on the foundation. Like you said, they weren't concentrating on, let's make sure that we get a product going out there and make sure that we can get, marketing so that people can actually find us and watch us on TV. And then, because we could just be bringing our own food to eat. They don't need to be feeding us. And it was just amazing to see the waste. And it was a great idea, but they did not think things through.
I hear you, and as I go out, once I get, I'm downsizing. I'm on property with 2 homes and I'm downsizing. So I think my property is about to sell. We're negotiating that right now. And so again, it's kind of stumped my launch. I can't be in the middle of doing both. They're both very time consuming. But when I do get ready to launch, the same principle applies. Is when you said about food, that's another, I'm about so much service, giving a ton of value and making a difference. Whether people buy programs from me or not, I like helping. So when I go to launch my live events, my mastery program, I'm thinking, okay, what are the costs going to be? And you got to figure out all that so you can get your price point. And I'm going, I've been to so many workshops and seminars in my lifetime, and they never feed you. I'm not treating my people like that. So it's going to, so that's going to make each event about $12,000, because I want to, have coffee, tea, and water on breaks and feed them lunch.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I still might revisit that. Maybe the first couple might not be.
there you go. Yeah.
Learning my old lesson.
Exactly.
But, I still tend to go there because that's just, I guess, my heart.
Well, that's good. It's nice to be generous. You just have to balance it out and budget for it. And if you can,
Absolutely.
that's the lesson I think to focus on is to make sure that you got it. So now I know part of so you said you started out really as a counselor, but now you have gotten more into dealing with like coaching and training. So what made you kind of change direction?
Right. Well, actually, that's, I guess, maybe twofold or more.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, while I always, a heart of the matter is counseling, consulting, and seminars. That's the name of my business.
Okay.
Although my website is lifeonpurposemastery.com.
Okay.
But heart of the matter is, CCS.
Mm-hmm.
So the point being is I always knew I wanted to do seminars, but I was kind of in the early years, I kind of sucked at the marketing, like I already mentioned. And so I would put an ad out, and that doesn't get the butts in the seat. So, counseling. Oh, let me try that again. No butts in the seat. So I always wanted to do that. But I, kept focused on that. And while I always have been very blessed in great outcomes with my clients, like good results with clients. When I, about 4 years ago, started studying the neuroscience, the brain science, how we be and why, and the neural pathways in your brain and all those negative ones that make us come from an automatic or default, if you will. So we'll react, based on our life's experience, most of which was from 0 to 6 years old, 90-some%.
Right.
And we operate from that place. So that's why, maybe your husband didn't do this, but in your childhood, your parents always did. So if he triggers that, you're going to, those kind of silly human things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, when I started doing that, and of course, I always practice what I preach, and teach. So through my own personal experience on gaining the understanding, and then the 7 different mindfulness practices, and the zillions of ways to use them. And when you use one, bang for your buck or what? Like a whole bunch of other, stuff just falls off you, automatically.
Right.
And, so I'm going, okay. So now not only was I getting good outcomes and results in therapy, and I also did some coaching, in session and a little bit online, but I was getting rapid results, like rapid results, a couple, 3 weeks of mindfulness practices, and you're, like you wouldn't believe the difference. So, I thought, and I've already had my signature mastery programs kind of where I want them to be when I launch. And of course, they'll always need tweaked based on, but I'll, have those ready. So I thought, I can't just, I just can't do the one-on-one. I want to serve the masses. I want to make big differences, in lives. So the one-on-one thing isn't doing it for me anymore. So instead of doing both, I think I'm going to do online coaching.
Okay.
On whether it be with individuals or groups.
Yeah.
And a lot of even that's some of my bonuses in my mastery program, some afterwards stuff, because if you're going to hang with me, you're going to get results. So, I like to add that in. So whether it's that, or the live events, I decided I wanted to serve the masses, no more one-on-one.
Right.
So that was one reason. And the other reason that I came to realize is that, at least based in my experience, and I don't want to offend any therapists out there, but in my experience, what I learned is well, first, let me preface it and say, I always kind of thought, in my profession, some of these people, they think they're, they make it a little more complicated than it is. Not that we're not complicated people, but
yeah,
you have to have a degree to do that. So I kind of already had that, in me. But what I discovered in mine personal practice is that most people do not necessarily require or need therapy, but that everybody can benefit from a coach, and from ongoing personal and or professional development.
Right.
And professional development to me is not the newest therapy out there and this, which I go way above associate. I mean, like I'm a junkie on the first level for 20 years, even before I was a counselor. So, way above that.
Yeah.
But that I wanted to, why did I get stuck? Oh, when I learned the neuroscience and got those rapid results.
Right.
I thought, not everybody needs to know, the therapy thing where you've got there's different models of therapy. You can do various things, but to kind of simplify it, you don't necessarily have to go back and talk about what your mother did or didn't do, or your dad did or didn't say, or necessarily, revisit the traumas. Or things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not really necessary. And because as a counselor, I was trained, I'm not there to solve their problems.
Right.
So, you're supposed to allow them, it's not about keep them coming back like most businesses are.
Right.
So, being ethical, ethics is always, you ain't got integrity, you don't have very much. So the ethics of that was, you don't want to you want to help them solve their own problems and strengthen them and, help build them up.
Yeah.
So that, they have their own answers. And there's a good reason for that. If I were to tell them what to do in a therapy model, then of course they never get built up. They never, because it's me and they're just following, and that's keeping them coming back, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And if I'm wrong, if I tell them to do something and it doesn't work for them, who do you think they're going to blame?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good ethic. It's a good ethic to have.
Yeah.
But the point is I'm a solution orientated person. So I had to know that. Like I knew that even before I opened practice. Like I learned that back in school. I am going to forever, because I am solution focused. And when you become a therapist and you've been in behavioral and cognitive and all that kind of stuff, you kind of know some of the predictable things and what they should do. What's going to help. Right. I knew that because I'm solution orientated, I needed to always stay on top of it. Never let that get away from me.
Gotcha.
The ethics of, helping them. Now, if they're stuck, is there ways that we can kind of, I wonder if this might help, instead of do this. Basically, so that's what it was, kind of twofold. I decided to finally just launch my mastery programs and online, various teachings and webinars and coaching and that kind of thing, because that works in the here and now, and coaching works the same way. That's where you can go do this, because that's going to work. Where in therapy it would be unethical.
Awesome. So we both know certainly that being an entrepreneur can be very stressful. So I've had lovely days like that. And now when you were talking about, learning about the neuroscience and things like that, and I guess how we're wired in our brain, when you work with clients, are there specific, tools or practices that you recommend that can help them, kind of make the road a little less rocky, and so they can be more successful.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, head and shoulders a lot less rocky. I'm serious. Like it's you can rewire the brain literally down to your DNA.
Wow.
That's how fascinating. And back in school, like kid school, when you're a kid, I had no interest in science and stuff like that. But when I got onto this, it was mind-boggling. It was like, God sent for so many people, crisis and traumas and just everyday life stresses or business is stressful no matter what you do. Even some of the positiveness, even busy. Yeah. All these people that are busy, that still creates that stress response in the body. Yeah. And it's harmful. So all these people that think that they can multitask, they can do it well and they think they're okay. Yeah. Brain damage is occurring. It's not a wise thing, to do, at least without some by nature of the job. If you're working in an emergency room as a doctor or nurse, it just is what it is. Yeah. So, I realize that. So having that brain wired to serve you best, so that constant negativity or stress doesn't run you. Right. And instead you run you.
Okay. All right. So, well, can you give us an example, maybe just like one
I already mentioned that my mastery programs is like it's a 3-tier thing: self-mastery. Yeah. And then for those, if you never do anything but that, but you're going to go deep in that, and it has to be live because you need all that benefit of a live event. And then for those who choose, they can go on with relational mastery. And for those who choose, ultimate life mastery. Right. So that was always the goal. But then this neuroscience, now that I got that, it's going to be that first. That's that's like a prerequisite, because let's have all the stuff that'll fall away naturally. So by the time you go to a self-mastery program, or going live event, you're going to not have to deal with all that. It's already going to be, you're already going to be solid. Yeah. Yeah. So the brain mastery, for lack of a better word, that I teach are this, like I already mentioned, the 7 mindfulness practices. Oh, okay. There's 7 different ones, and I'm going to talk about 2 of. I'm going to talk about one of them, and then I'm going to give a tool that will. It can't work if you don't use it, obviously. Right. But if you use it, you're going to be flocking to my website. You're going to want the training. Okay. And so they're warned. Everybody's warned. Right? Everybody. So the first one would be the first practice is, by nature of the practices themselves, mindfulness. Right. Is awareness. Okay. We're creatures of habit. We're even slaves to our habits. Yeah. They're not inherently bad or wrong habits. Yeah. Right. Some serve us well. Imagine if you had to stop and think every time you wanted to tie your shoe or have sex, or how do you do that again? Yeah. How do you open a door? Oh. Yeah. So. Yeah. They're not habits inherently. The trick is to develop good habits and become their slaves. Yes. Right? Yes. So instead of that automatic pilot, and that's how we run. That is how we roll in life. Yeah. Unless and until you do that one simple thing: pay attention. In fact, on my website, people, if they scroll, it's still in a construction, because that's what Wilma Flintstone could do. I got rid of my counseling site already, and now this new thing, just so I've got something up there until I can pay somebody to get it. The point is that there is an audio on there. I did an interview with a Dr. Karen Sherman out of New York. And it was all based around couples. Okay. So for any couples out there, but it's the same principle, and you can learn a little bit about what I mean,
Right.
more than we have time for today.
Yeah.
If you want to go there and listen to that. But paying attention to what we're thinking. Because your thinking always, 100% of the time, will create your result.
Right.
Always. And if we're going on automatic, imagine you're walking down the mall.
Yeah.
And so you're walking down the center of the mall and you see Sally, a friend.
Yeah.
And you give a smile and a little wave, and you think she's looking right at you, but she's got this growl face on her. And you're, so I don't know, based on your triggers, based on what, you could think 1,000 different things. One of those things might be, well, I wonder what's up, her girl, or I invite her to the Tupperware party, silly human stuff,
Absolutely.
Because we assumed.
Yes.
And now we're going to assign what she meant by, little did you know, if it's really that important to you, call her and say, hey, was there something I said? Right. Or, if it's not important, you just got to choose to let it go. But the point is your thinking, is going to shoot you in the foot. We are worst enemies.
Yeah.
And Sue with a Q, I always did this thing I'm barefooted. I'd actually go like this with clients, shoot ourselves in the foot. That was a common, and you know why I did it? And some of my other cues.
Yeah.
It's because then when they're out in the world trying to apply what they've learned, that those kind of things stick. So it just added that extra memory to get their new habit developed. But anyway, so just awareness. Paying attention. So I would challenge, you don't believe me? Like, just start paying attention. You might even for a couple of weeks, want to have a handy notepad, and not everything, it's not about getting overboard on it.
Right.
But notice your reactions to people.
Yeah.
Or situations and what we're telling ourselves, whether it's about ourselves, that's certainly part of it.
Yeah.
Or whether it's about others, as in like, so if you catch yourself, like, look what I did, I just assumed, which you know what you do when you assume.
Oh, I know. My mother warned me about that. She's
you make an ass out of you and me. Right. So you don't want to do that. But if you start paying attention and then you catch yourself doing, use it as the example, you can see, which is another Sue with a Q. Of course, correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you correct it.
Right.
You say, listen, I don't know. She might have just lost her husband. Her kid might be in the hospital.
Yeah, you don't
They
know.
might have been ignoring me.
Right. Their mind was just elsewhere.
It's something. You know what I'm saying? So we have to stop going on automatic, being drug around, on this automatic default. Yeah. Based on all our past experiences, mostly from childhood. Yeah. And just start paying attention to what we're telling ourselves, what meanings we're giving to things, and what that. So that's part of it. Okay. And you're going to find probably some ugly stuff, some ugly, small, medium, large, however, probably a little mixed bag of that. But then you're going to start, when you notice, then you can do something about it.
Yeah, right.
You're just going to go around living life and letting it drag you around. Yeah. Then cry me a river, because you don't expect much in your business, in your marriage, being an excellent parent, or any other of the roles that we all have in life. Right. And I'm a people thing, and life's about relationships. Yes. The grocery store clerk, a casual human, interaction, or whether it's, an intimate spouse or children or in-laws, so you're just paying attention, awareness, and start noticing. Make it intentional for the next X amount of days. I would submit a couple of weeks. You have good whatnot. Write some of them down, because that always helps. You can see improvement. You can see where you're going back, slipping back, whatnot. But just start noticing. And when you notice, here's the key about it. Tell yourself the truth. That's what I mean by course correcting. Gotcha. And I should preface this now, or not preface, but I should say a little more about this. Sometimes we're big fat liars. Like in the case I described at the moment, we lie like a rug to ourselves. We really do.
Oh yeah.
Like in assuming that Sally, was ignoring or snitting.
Right.
That's a lie to assume that, unless and until I decide to confront her and ask her.
Right.
That's really what was going on.
Yeah.
So, so that's a course correct. But then there's also the truth. Okay, so imagine you're in a disaster. There's just been, Louisiana going on right now, or whatever the catastrophe, shootings and earthquakes and, God only knows, like just all kinds of right in the middle of a crisis or a trauma or something like that. In other words, it's the truth.
Yeah.
What's going on is what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you still want to pay attention to what, if you can't, have a little chat with yourself, I always say. But you be in charge, not the automatic.
Right.
Just let it run amok.
Right.
And have you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Instead, on purpose, life on purpose mastery, on purpose, pay attention and then tell yourself the truth.
Gotcha.
I mean, even if it's the worst case scenario, like there's an earthquake, I just lost my house, I'm this, I'm that, and whatever, at least, okay, I'm okay now, touch yourself. You can ground yourself just by simply putting your hands over your heart and taking a couple of breaths. And telling yourself, instead of going, oh my God, oh, I lost everything, oh my God, and all that negativity, on purpose instead, okay, right now I'm okay. Right. Things are going to be okay. And, I still got my arms and legs and whatever. And I mean, if you don't have an arm, then tell yourself, at least I got one arm, whatever it is. But, tell yourself the truth, or even if it is the truth, choose what you're going to focus on.
Right. Yeah. That's so
where you're going to think.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, do not beat yourself up. We are never, never give yourself guilt or condemnation or whatever about what falls in there.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Do not beat yourself up about what falls in there. But maybe beat yourself up if you're just going to let it
keep going.
Go then.
Right. Yeah. You're going to keep.
And I wonder why your life isn't extraordinary.
Right.
And all those things. So you really gotta do that. You gotta tell yourself the truth and not let that automatic happen.
All right, awesome. Well,
so that's the awareness part.
Okay. Well,
now one is simple.
Yeah. Okay.
One
briefly,
tool.
Because we're running out of time. So
Okay. So briefly, and you're gonna think I'm nuts here because it's so simple.
Okay.
But I probably don't have to tell people that, for years and decades, maybe even, we've known for a long time that stats and studies tell us that most people don't breathe properly. Most people struggle.
Yeah.
And that's causing a lot of, health or contributing at least to health problems.
Right.
But the breath can calm the amygdala, if you will, in the mind, and instead of, that fight or flight in the brain. And, and then our prefrontal cortex slows down. And so we don't make good decisions. Yeah. We don't make wise ones. Now we got an added mess on top of it. So simply by regularly breathing, you take it can be as simple as this. In fact, this was a study. The participants several times throughout the day, they did 2, 3, 4 minutes of just breathing. Nothing particular, like hold it this many and out that many or whatever. Although you always want to know your out breath. It's relaxing, so make sure you're getting it all out. But just a breath-focused meditation for 2 to 4 minutes, several times throughout the day. And I set people up for success. So I say, before your feet hit the ground in the morning, before you go to bed at night, every time you go to the bathroom, before a meal, every time you're standing in a grocery or bank line, and every time you get pissed off, every time.
Oh,
you know, anytime you get angry. Okay. So, you know, coupling it with those kind of things to create that habit
yeah.
is helpful. But just for the next 2 weeks, and that's what the participants did. So at the end of the 2 weeks, they had 10 hours accumulated, and they had done scans before and after. Well, the after scans showed that the white and gray matter density increased.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
Wow.
So just breath alone is going to keep your system at a and teach it to not be so reactive,
right,
so judgmental,
yeah,
so all these other silly human things that shoot ourselves in the foot and don't create the results we say we want.
Right.
And no matter how successful your business is, it can be more successful. And if it's not successful, it can easily get better successful, because you'll be better, your relationships will be better, and your business will be healthy and happy as you are.
Yay! Awesome.
So awareness and breath.
All right, very good.
So, and then they, you know, I would ask people, because I'm probably moving, I've had to put on hold what I had planned to offer your audience.
Yeah.
But I want to just give them a little more than we could do here, another free thing.
Okay.
I don't know when that'll be because of the potential for moving, and I think it might not be till the first week or so of September before people are even seeing this.
Yeah.
So, which might be in the middle of my, you know, close to moving.
Right.
And so the point being is, if you just go to my website, you'll get a free report, and then I can keep you in the know.
Okay.
And just because I am who I am, I'll stay in touch and give you other little things in the meantime. But I will be offering a free thing, and then for people who want to further learn, they can get into the online brain mastery. Or if you've got a group, that can also be done live, and I can come to you if you've got a group. Otherwise, we'll do an 8-week program.
And what's your website?
lifeonpurposemastery.com.
Oh, very good. Oh, there you go. Nice. Love it. Love it. Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been really outstanding, and I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
You're welcome.
Lucky Road to Success. So I wish you all the best with your move. That's exciting. So hopefully it'll turn out wonderfully. And and until next time, I am Gloria Rand, wishing all of you peace, love, and prosperity.
Yes.